Hello viewers, thank you for joining me. This one is another request from a YouTuber by the name of Let Us Pray, which I love the play on words by the way. It also came with the added request that I split the single 26 episode series into 3 reviews and cover each of the school years separately, with a focus on how the characters grow over time. The characters tend to be my main focus anyway, so that's fine with me. And I guess that also means you can expect spoilers. Azumanga Daioh is one of those ordinary days, slice-of-life shows. The characters are the story in this type of setting, as far as I'm concerned. Azumanga Daioh introduces us to a very peculiar freshman class. Most noticeable is Chiyo, a tiny academic prodigy who's made it to high school at just 10 years old, but she fits into her class pretty easily, and the group of 4 or 5 other girls who make up the main cast basically grows around her. I'd say Chiyo is the first one you'd pick out of the crowd just because she's so small, but right on the heels of that would be Tomo, who's easily the loudest of the group, and she's usually accompanied by her childhood friend Yomi, who tends to ground her a little, or she tries to at least. Then there's Sakaki, who contrasts Chiyo by being the tallest and who's generally seen as the cool one, and Kaorin, who we don't see as much of, but who's definitely Sakaki's biggest fan. And last but not least, right after the excitement of having Chiyo in class starts to wear off, Ayumu transfers in from Osaka, and within her first hour they've all just started calling her Osaka. Pretty vague introductions, I know. And intentionally so. I do want to give them each a little spotlight section, look into where they all started and where some of them may have already changed. I just didn't want to rush ahead with one before at least introducing them all, and have to backtrack over myself to explain the basics. I've sort of planned this in a least favorite to favorite character order, but some of the character discussions just connect to others more naturally. And it only feels natural to start with Chiyo. While I don't dislike Chiyo, she's definitely not in the running as one of my favorites either. Chiyo almost started to feel like a mascot of sorts to me. I'd heard enough about this anime in the past that if you'd shown me a bunch of random screenshots from it, I would have at least been able to put a name to it once I saw Chiyo. Like I said, she just feels like the most recognizable, so I'm sure that's part of it. But also, Azumanga Daioh is a very light-hearted, cute show in general. I didn't really feel like we needed a character just to embody that, and that's basically Chiyo's role. She's just cute, in a one-note sort of way. The only things she struggles with, like being quick to cry and not keeping up with her classmates athletically, only serve to make her look even more adorable. I just saw so much room for growth there. It would have been so easy to write some real struggles into Chiyo's character, add a little depth there. She's got the whole child prodigy thing going on, right? Kids get moved ahead in school to keep their minds engaged because they can handle tougher material. It just sits a little weird with me that she completely skipped middle school, yet she's still the best at everything. Day 1 and she's already tutoring kids 5 years her senior. I'm not saying they had to make her snobby or arrogant. The fundamentals of Chiyo's character could have stayed the same, but it would have made her a little more interesting if, for the first time in her short life, she wasn't the smartest kid in the room. If she finally had to work just as hard as everyone else and gain some kind of better appreciation for it. Chiyo's just a little bland as is. Tomo was another one that I didn't dislike. Her loud energy just wore out its welcome really quickly sometimes. There can be a thin line between being fun and annoying. The thing I really did like about Tomo is that she's not actually the star athlete you'd expect her to be. She's not actually the best at anything. She just approaches every activity with twice as much passion as everyone else. She's not an efficient worker. Like, you'll see her pushing herself twice as hard as her classmates during a race in gym class, while everyone slowly outpaces her. She strikes me as the type of kid where the teachers would write A for effort or something on the top of her papers, while simultaneously giving her a failing grade. And she's another one who doesn't really grow or learn any important life lessons in year 1. I feel like the flip side to Tomo is Sakaki, who was one of my favorites after these first 9 episodes. Sakaki is the star athlete, and she's generally seen as the cool, reserved one, but the truth is she's distant because she's shy, a little socially awkward. What no one gets to see is that she loves small, soft, cute things, cats in particular. Her personal tastes are almost identical to Chiyo's, actually. Her classmates are pretty intimidated by her and tend to keep their distance. But she'd like nothing more than to be invited out places with friends. She's just not sure how to take that first step herself. Sakaki had the most satisfying year 1 story. Chiyo sees her out on her own one day and invites her to join them. Chiyo's intimidated too, but extending that welcome is just in her nature. But it doesn't take long for those walls to break down, and by the end of their first year, she's comfortably part of the group. To be honest, I don't want to put an exact number on how many girls make up our main cast, because it feels like Kaorin is supposed to be part of it, but she isn't really, as of year 1. The others already feel like an established group of friends, and Kaorin hangs out on the edge of it sometimes, but she's never truly part of it. Like, they all go to Chiyo's family's summer home for the summer break, and that would have been a perfect opportunity to include her, but Kaorin's off at a camp with her astronomy club while the others are all bonding. Her crush on Sakaki is cute, though, and I hope to see it go somewhere, even if that somewhere is just the realization that she's not quite as cool as she seems on the outside. Though Sakaki grows the most, Osaka is easily my favorite character. She had that spot pretty much cemented in by the end of the 2nd episode. I've got all my teachers throughout the years in the back of my mind telling me to use my own words, but there's really no better way to describe Osaka than how she describes herself. She talks about how everyone in her old school used to tease her for being slow and spacey, which is a more apt description, I feel, than saying she's airheaded, which gives the impression that her personality is a bit more bubbly than it is. Her demeanor usually falls somewhere between being serious and serene, which could be a great comedic setup when things didn't go her way, which was often. Osaka definitely made me laugh the most, and she's adorable in her own right, but she's also the one I related to the most a lot of the time. There's this scene where she decides, starting over at a new school and all, that she's going to try to be a better student and stop daydreaming in class. But it doesn't take long for her to be so focused on focusing that she's not actually paying attention to what's going on in the lesson, and I've definitely been there before. As much as I'm enjoying her character as is, though, I do hope we get to see her grow a little before graduation. There are little self-improvement things that she wants to achieve, and I hope she does. Which leaves us with Yomi, who's kind of in a weird place right now, because she's always around, she's significantly more involved than Kaorin, but it feels like we barely see her. Like, Kaorin at least has this one big thing that's a focal point of her character. I have almost nothing to say about Yomi. She sort of keeps Tomo reined in, and I can tell she's not quite as serious and studious as she looks like she'd be. There's like a single scene that shows she has a mischievous side, but that's it. I'm really hoping they make up for lost time with her in year 2. So, their freshman year covers episodes 1 through 9. I'm definitely deep enough in to be invested, but I wouldn't say I love it yet. Azumanga Daioh is the type of slice of life that I'm not crazy about. The episodes jump from one big milestone to the next. Like, episode 5 is summer break, 6 is the sports festival, 7 is the cultural festival. It just felt a little too structured, in a dry, copy-and-paste sort of way. I would have liked to see more of the in-between. Ordinary school days can be interesting on their own if you write them around good, original character stories. I felt like one of the best Year 1 episodes was the last one, which is centered around the kids getting together for Chiyo's birthday. I want to see the characters, forging the story. Right now, it feels like there are set story points that they're just bouncing off of. And a few months ago, I may have blamed this on its origins. Azumanga Daioh started out as a 4-koma style manga, meaning the whole thing is a collection of mini 4-panel skits, sometimes related to past ones, sometimes not. I don't really enjoy reading that style, but that doesn't mean it can't adapt well into anime form. I recently watched Castletown Dandelion and loved it. I never would have guessed that it also started out as that style of manga. It was made up of a bunch of episodic character plotlines, but they came together to be a really cohesive story overall, under that main plot of the competition to be king. It's something I would have liked to see more of with this show. Cohesiveness, that is. Some of the episodes flowed nicely. Others felt like a bunch of thrown-together mini-skits. I fear that's something that won't change, it's just the style of the show. But there have been some good episodes so far. I did really like episode 9. It ends with Chiyo walking her friends back to the train station, and the girls all enjoying the sunset together. It really was a fantastic send-off into the next year. So that about wraps up Year 1 for me. I probably should have mentioned their teacher, too, as she also gets a fair amount of screen time. Miss Yukari is another eccentric one, though most of the time I leaned more towards describing her as immature. She got a few good laughs out of me. She starts out the year stealing a student's bike so she's not late to class. Not out of a devotion to teaching, mind you, but because she fears the consequences if she's late again. So I certainly wouldn't mind if some of her screen time is given to her students, going forward. But her rivalry with the gym teacher has been a pretty big part of the story so far, so I won't hold my breath on that one. I'm not entirely sure what to expect. I know it was all made as one show, so I'm trying to be realistic about changes I'd like to see. I know I'll see more of them all, with 15 more episodes to go. I just hope that time is meaningful. I don't have exact dates planned for these uploads, but I hope to be back soon to talk about Year 2. This introduction was actually a bit longer than I'd thought it would be, but it's always the hope that a series will give me characters I want to talk about. Thank you for watching.